Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Oh, hello there.
Good morning.
Good morning. That's Tom Sokolowski.
Raconteur, if you were trying to describe me.
I was, but I also wanted to say also that, you know, what brought you to Pittsburgh was the Andy Warhol Museum,
right.
but I always blank on your position.
Director. Former director now.
The head.
The head.
For how many years? For a
15,
long time?
yes.
15 years. Mm-hmm. Is that a long time to be a
people
museum
move about.
director?
Well, people move about a lot, I think, as many people do, particularly in the business world. But I think in nonprofits, sometimes when there's a fit and there's
then
a click with a community. Well, not can, but I think then that's how you really start building things. I mean, one can have one quick puff of smoke, but I mean, to really build a constituency and what you do within a community. I mean, you look at a lot of the people who've been around. My colleague at the time, Richard Armstrong, I think was at the Carnegie Museum of Art for 18 years.
He was here a long time, and then he went.
He is now the president of the Solomon R. Guggenheim Foundation, but museum and museums around the world.
Wow.
Abu Dhabi, potentially Helsinki. They're just closing one in Berlin, but many balls in the air.
Many balls in the air.
In the air. Some fall, some ascend.
What would you say your greatest accomplishments were here in those at 15
I
years
think
span?
the greatest accomplishments were, number one, making the city familiar with and comfortable with Andy Warhol and the museum as a center that really is part of Pittsburgh, but embraced the oddities and the things unfamiliar to the city, newcomers, people in the gay community, people in the communities of color, women. And I think there's some of the exhibitions that were the most powerful, at least in my estimation, were the shows we did dealing with racism, the show of Without Sanctuary, about lynching, the show we did on eugenics, because I think for me, the art that's always been the most potent, historical or contemporary, is that speaks about the human condition.
Would you call that political art?
In certain ways, but I mean, all art's political.
I would think so, too.
I mean, some is apolitical, but I mean, I think those things from Michelangelo to Caravaggio to Rembrandt that have touched us are the ones that say something, not this painting on the wall, but this painting on the wall or sculpture that inflects your daily life.
How did you deal with the sophisticates that, of course, you had to deal with outside of Pittsburgh, like in New York, who were simply appalled that Pittsburgh was going to be the center of the Warhol.
We just poo-pooed them. No, because the sense was, I think...
Wasn't there a lot of rage about that?
At the very beginning. But basically, no one in the Warhol would have wanted the museum to be in New York. I always say he's halfway to China. If people say, he's turning in his grave, he would have wanted the museum to be in New York. But I think the thing I always...
He would have.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why wouldn't his,
Well, because everyone wanted it there. We don't want to have to travel to see Warhol. We want it to be in New York. It's very funny. We had a meeting, I guess in the last year or two of my tenure there, and we were putting together a group of friends of Warhol in New York, people who had really known him and collected him. And this one fellow whose name blanking now. Anyway, but who runs the Standard Hotel, both Los Angeles and Miami, and one in New York. And he said, "Oh, people in New York, just aren't so aware of what the museum is doing." And I said, "Well, we've been to 49 countries around the world, and the shows we've done have been seen by 9.5 million people." And he said, "Tom, I'm not talking about the world. I'm talking about New York." And I said, I will not even honor that with a response.
Oh, God.
But I mean, really, it's like something
New York is parochial.
It can be, yeah.
Absolutely parochial.
Yeah, it sounds like a line from The Women,
Yeah.
Claire Booth Luce. Oh, dear. They're like that old line. I remember one time when I first moved to New York in 1972, a lot of the story was that someone went to Bloomingdale's when Bloomingdale's was just the last word. And this woman was buying, and she said, "Oh, I'd like to send it." And the sales clerk said, "Oh, yes. Where?" And she said, "Oh, to Ohio." And the sales clerk looked at her and said, "In New York, we pronounce it Iowa." So I thought that was
God, how funny! How stupid!
The morass out there.
Doesn't know the difference. Oh, God, how funny.
Yeah, probably. Well, I think, still, but then it didn't matter whether you were stupid as a pig, but as long as you were beautiful. Oh, and I remember in those days, Bloomingdale's, every sales clerk was just, oh, and they'd waft in, and they'd have live animals walking, painted animals. It was wild.
Yeah, it was wild. Well, I was there in the 70s, which was a crazy time to be living in New York, because that was when it was a little scary. That was before they cleaned it up. And I was a young, lovely single girl.
Ravenous Jewess.
Yeah, ravenous raven-haired Jewess.
Raven-haired Jewess, yes.
Living by myself and walking all over Kingdom Come, taking the subway at all hours of the night. And as I look back on it, I think, God, I am lucky. Nothing ever, not even anything close ever happened.
No, I remember that was the subway. And
it was a scary
You could
time.
never be on the subway when someone wasn't panhandling or selling you something.
It was...
Now that just doesn't happen.
Well, you were stepping over people lying in the streets and I mean in the sidewalks, and it really was.
Well, I remember people would take on, those bank ATM things where they have like the little booth before you go into the actual branch, and during the winter, they'd rent them almost, and then they'd stand with that blue and white paper cup as you're holding the door for you.
Yeah. Okay, well...
The days of wine and roses.
The days of wine and roses. And breakfast at Tiffany's.
Yes. Moon River.
We've been singing a lot this morning.
Yes, I know.
People didn't know before the show started. It seems like everything made us break into song.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
The approaching storm that we see coming. Right? Something's coming, something's
I don't
know. Sorry, guys. So, there is news, none of which I want to talk about. Oh, this just in. Do you know what Ashley Madison is?
No.
It's not a woman.
Oh.
AshleyMadison.com.
Cosmetics.
I would think so, too.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, not.
No.
AshleyMadison.com is a company that has offered to buy all of the inventory lost in advertising by Rush Limbaugh. It said, we'll come in, we'll take all of that lost advertising.
Oh, they must be nice people.
They must be very nice people. So you want to know what AshleyMadison.com is? It's a dating site that helps...
That like sluts.
It's a dating site that helps people cheat on their...
Oh, perfect. How delightful.
That's what they do. No. AshleyMadison.com hooks up people who are married. And he's the head of it has offered to buy up all of Limbaugh's ad revenue. And another dating site called SeekingArrangements.com is also looking
and they're not
to buy ads on Limbaugh's show.
God.
And Seeking Arrangements describes itself as the world's largest sugar daddy. dating website.
Oh, my God.
And it says, we take a different approach. When a woman seeks out a sugar daddy to help pay for college, for instance, many in mainstream media have no problem liking her to being a prostitute. Such is the hypocrisy of the society we live in. And so there you go.
Wasn't Rush Limbaugh, didn't he have his own Poopsie on the side or something? There was something I think I remember a few years ago.
Oh no, he marries his woman.
Oh, I
he's
see.
he's on wife number 4, and I think I think he's single now. I don't know.
Well, he's such a pretty thing.
Oh, he's so. I mean, you look at him and you wonder how how you can even resist. Like I feel like if I were in his presence, I would just like be ripping my clothes off.
Oh,
I would
dear.
just like, oh, Rush. Oh God. Speaking of Rush. And my sister told me this the other day, and I really couldn't believe it, but here it is. Now it's in the New York Times, so I know it's true. So the state of Missouri is going to put a statue, or I guess a bust, of Rush Limbaugh in the state capitol in a place of honor, a statuary hall kind of thing, where it honors its native sons. And Rush will be joining the likes of
Harry Truman.
Harry Truman. Can you think of anybody else from Missouri?
Missouri.
Mark Twain.
Such a sparkling state.
Well, actually, they got some good ones.
I shouldn't say that we're going to get calls from Missouri.
Mark Twain is the one I would. Yeah, Mark Twain, George Washington Carver, Harry Truman,
I thought Washington Carver was from Georgia.
No, Walt Disney. Just because he might have been, who knows? Because you're thinking of Peanuts.
Well, didn't he find out like 100 things to do?
He was a great inventor. Yeah. Mark Twain, George Washington Carver, Harry S. Truman, Walt Disney, Charlie Parker, Stan Musial, Walter Cronkite, Emmett Kelly, the clown, for those of you who are too young, and now Rush Limbaugh added to that group.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that?
It's sort of interesting. Walt Disney was sort of a neo-Nazi.
Oh, he was.
Sort of put
he absolutely was.
Next to one another would be quite nice.
You know how I found out Disney was a neo-Nazi is when I was sent by WTAE-TV early in my career here down to the Magic Kingdom with a photographer and a producer, and I was to be there for a week and doing, reports behind the scenes at the Magic Kingdom.
This is where Mickey takes a leak.
Exactly. You have no idea what I saw. And I could not. There was a Disney guy, literally, appended to me. I'm surprised they didn't stick a collar on me with a leash. And I was always drawn, of course, to something that freaked them out. I know. I would say, oh, well, he said, no, you cannot do it. And then he shows me, the most amazing thing is under Disney World and it wouldn't surprise you, I guess, to learn, is an entire city, essentially. It is the whole support structure that keeps the magic going.
Afloat, yeah.
So all of the costume characters are able to. I never could find where they disappeared down into but all the costumes are down there. All the and they have this amazing. They had an amazing garbage disposal system, so that. It
was always clean.
It was always clean. Well, and you should. And I said, "Oh my God, this is amazing." I said, "I've got. We're going to do a story on this." And the Disney guy almost passed out. He said, "Oh no, you can't possibly do that." And I said, "Why? It's amazing. People will find this fascinating. It's so amazing." And he said, "It is absolutely impossible," he said. I said, "But why?" You cannot do a story about garbage in the Magic Kingdom because there is no garbage.
Yes, of course.
In the
yes,
magic.
right.
That was it.
Yeah.
I also couldn't I walked into a room and there was Mickey Mouse with his head off,
Oh my
sitting
God,
over
that's-
here, and Cinderella, having. I said, "Oh, let me do." No, you can't do that. You couldn't do this. You couldn't do that. You couldn't do this. And the one thing I actually got around him on was when we got ferried over to was it Discovery? I don't know, some island where there's incredible birds and all kinds of wildlife flying free. And I went back into an area where they prepared the food that they would give these people. And it really looked good. There was one where I started actually sort of picking some of it up. There was like this incredible fruit salad for one of the birds, I don't know, and blah, 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 blah. And then next to the fruit salad, I saw a number of bowls with dead mice. dead mice in them. And those were for the carnivorous, whatever, I don't know, some kind of carnivorous bird that likes mice. And I said to my handler, I said, I don't suppose Mickey knows that
Mickey's great-grandchildren.
that you're killing his cousins, feeding him to the vultures, and this guy's face is ashen, and he said, "Well, of course you're not going to." I said, "Oh no." And I remember I said to my photographer, I said, "Can you possibly, surreptitiously, can you please get a picture of these dead mice?"
Well,
Unbelievable.
Epilogue to this, we did an exhibition at the Warhol Museum. I think it was done out of Montreal, but anyway, it was called Designing the Disney Theme. No, there was I can't remember what the first part of it was, like magic something, designing the Disney theme parks. And what was very interesting, people have to remember, they were first started
in the 50s.
51 or something.
I was one of the first people in that. I was very, very young. It wasn't 51, but I was like 50. For me, it was 55 or something.
Okay.
55, 56, very young, but that was Disneyland in California.
And the interesting thing about it was that the central part was this, I've got Main Street, I can't remember the name of it.
Main Street.
Yeah. And he made it like this little town,
right?
Like Meadville or something.
Yeah.
A real small town in America.
Yeah.
And this was the time we were the Cold War, and it was everyone would feel comfortable. Everyone would know your name. It was all sort of European, a little village, and it really was putting this very conservative take on America. But also the fact of, one had to say, but it was interesting, the other part was that dealing with the Disney people was just like that. Any design for the ads. I remember this one woman, tough broad, I haven't thought of that word in many years. Anyway, and we had to deal with it. One time we were running late, and I said, "Oh, just rush it through." Oh, and I got a phone call from this woman screaming at me, "You're trying to do that, and I'll cut your balls off," literally, a direct quote. Well, then when I finally met her, she came to the open. She was really quite nice, but she said, you just have to remember, Mickey is such a sterling and Disney name. We cannot afford anything that anyone might consider.
That's right. I have never had every word I wrote. I mean, it was the first time in my life where some copy I had written was edited, and that it wasn't by me. It was the producer who had gone with me. They got to her because God knows I wasn't changing anything, and I was so enraged. I mean, you can't I could not creatively work under those kinds of strictures. And at the time, I was asking it was amazing. You could not have. Here was the other thing. You could not have facial hair and work at Disney World when I was there. And I said,
especially if you're a woman.
What? Yeah, especially if you're a woman. But that's not the point.
No, right.
Think of Walt Disney.
Right, exactly. He had a mustache.
So how do you not have facial hair? It was
but that was sort of, I'm sure, European. Or Latino.
I don't know. It so put me off. That little junkety trip so put me off that I have... I cannot stand going there. Get the heebie-jeebies. Oh, my God. Somebody just sent me
Yes, right.
Oh, there's a petition called I Stand with Rush Limbaugh. You want to hear it?
What's interesting, there's a little...
I know.
All right, sure.
The petition states, would you like to read this part?
I stand with Rush Limbaugh and appreciate the massive contribution that he has made to the conservative movement in our nation over the last 25 years.
Yes.
Rush has apologized, but the radical left will never accept it because they despise him and want him off the air. I condemn attempts by the radical left-wing organizations and the media to censor Rush and his common sense, which needs a hyphen, conservative message.
Okay. And somebody has done this, took their logo and everything, and says
Read
this.
this one.
I also stand with pedophile priests, the Klan, skinheads, Nazis, fascist bigots, misogynist homophobes, warmongers, quitter governors, diaper-wearing senators, oil companies, insurance industry execs, Wall Street execs, Bernie Madoff, Monsanto, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, Governor Walker, George Bush, Dick Cheney, Abdi, Joe the Plumber, Cardinal O'Connor, Chuck Norris, Elizabeth Hasselbeck, and Satan!
But then this person who sent it to us, Ray in Lawrenceville, says, P.S. Tom Sokolowski's voice is a dead ringer for Jose Ferrer
You know
and Cyrano
what?
de Bergerac.
You know, have you heard that before?
No.
No.
I'm trying to remember if I could.
No, you do.
Cyrano de
I just
Bergerac.
saw Jose Ferrer, and who I never liked for some
He's
reason.
dead, isn't he?
Well, I'm sure he's dead. But I just saw him in something, and you're right. You
But he
have
had a
his
very,
voice.
like,
No,
plumpy-
you have his
Didn't he?
voice.
How funny.
You have his
Who was
voice.
he was married to some blonde bombshell, a movie star, I think, for a while. Who was Jose Ferrer married to?
Who was Jose Ferrer? That's Joseferrer.
Josie.
Josie
As they say in
Ferrer.
Iowa.
Ferrer. Jose Ferrer.
Yes.
You want to know who he was married to?
Yes, who was he
Yes.
married to? Probably 20 women, but we're looking for
but
just one.
Someone famous.
Well, sure.
Like Lucille.
Rosemary Clooney.
That's right.
Rosemary
But there was
Clooney.
someone
That's not
else,
a
though, too.
bombshell.
Okay, let's see.
No. But
No, I think maybe that was it.
there was someone else I thought
You think
too.
a
But it was
babe.
Rosemary Clooney, you're right.
Okay.
The uncle of George Clooney, I guess, of sorts.
No, Rosemary Clooney, is
Yeah.
his aunt.
Aunt, yeah.
So, Jose Ferrer is his uncle.
But you know what I was pointing out before we read this thing? They have, the logo type.
Right.
I stand with Rush Limbaugh, and they have this little skinny man as a kind of caricature, and as opposed to the big blob that he is. He's like Jabba the Hutt.
Boy,
Last
he's big
picture I've
again. I
seen,
know
yeah.
he lost a lot of weight once. He gained it all back and then some, which is what happened.
What happens? Yeah, I mean, I should talk. I'm
I should talk
skinny.
too, I know.
Well, my darling, you are.
No, but I just took a whole bunch off, and
Oh, good for you.
I'm desperately trying to keep it off. Hey, I got something for you. Are you a guy who has? How many pockets do you have on your person right now? This is something women, they make our clothes with no pocket.
2 back pockets of my trousers,
4,
2 front
5, 6.
pockets, and then a couple in my sport
You have
jackets.
some in your jacket.
Yeah.
But you maybe even have some inside your jacket
Yes,
that you
right,
don't
yeah.
even use. But you got a lot of pockets. Well, I want to just suggest a vest for you.
Oh.
This could be called the
Like,
Santorum vest.
I was going to say.
The Rick Santorum vest. It's $160,
Okay.
and it has 20 pockets in it. And each pocket is labeled so that you know what it's for. So
On the outside.
I don't.
Stamps.
It has a
quarters,
tiny little
dimes,
label. I
false
don't know.
teeth.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, and it has a tiny little label and a zipper, and there are pockets for your phone, of course, with touch screen sensitive walls.
Oh, dear.
There's a pocket for your glasses with a cleaning cloth attached by a leash.
A leash.
A
That's
leash.
I thought you...
And there is a pocket for your keys that has a springy clip.
Oh, springy clip. Yes.
And there's a pocket for your water bottle, for your wallet, for your pens. There's even an iPad pocket on the inside front.
My God. Sounds like a flak jacket.
And listen to this. Well, it sort of is. And there has a channel system that routes your earbuds
my goodness.
to the collar. And let's say it has sleeves. I call it a vest, but it has sleeves. But if all of a sudden you're thinking, oh, it's hot, you can literally go bang, and your sleeves come off.
Well, you think that? You think that's funny? There's this company. I don't know how it got on my email. I get something from every day called Bonobos. They're men's clothing or whatever, middle price range. But anyway, the other day they had a special, and they do things like chino pants, and it said, for the dancers and the disco lovers. And there's a little video, and you click it, and this guy's wearing chinos. So all of a sudden, bloop, he just pulls them, and they snap off. And I thought, oh my God, that sounds like something out of like a Broadway show.
Well, perhaps
clothes.
Perhaps that person would also like this
jacket.
This jacket,
an ensemble.
Because you can pop off the sleeves that are attached to each other yes, and it's because the sleeves are actually attached to
Velcro?
the jacket with powerful magnets at the shoulders.
Oh dear, they'd love that going through security at the airport. With
and get this, once you pop your sleeves off, there's a pocket to put them in.
What does this luscious garment cost?
$160. That's cheap.
Mom, that is cheap. And how many colors does it come in?
3.
3.
You can have your choice of gray, red, or black.
Or black, okay.
Okay.
Well, those of you who want to send me a gift, as long as it comes in ample size, but not as ample as Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, my God. Don't make fun of weight, because I'll tell you every time I do, all hell.
No, true. But the only thing is, I mean, for him to call someone a slut now, we can call him a fat slob.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, calling him a name is not. Yeah, right, exactly. Fat.
You know what I loved was the
criminal.
fact that when that first came out, and I think Maureen Dowd wrote about this. All of the Republicans who were the candidates, they didn't want to diss Rush Limbaugh.
No, they're scared of him.
What was it that Santorum said? Oh, he's an entertainer, and absurdism is fine for an entertainer.
Well, you know what? That's what, throughout the years of Rush Limbaugh, that has been the fallback for all people who are put in a position of, the Republicans who are put in a position of having to defend him. They immediately say, look, he's an entertainer, and entertainers have, free reign.
Well, but the thing is, that's ultimately the worst thing to say, because, I mean, he who takes himself so seriously.
Yeah.
I mean,
why would you have an entertainer, essentially the putative head of your political party?
I mean,
the person you're terrified of.
You don't take an entertainer. I mean, you don't take Milton Berle seriously.
Yeah, we don't say Jon Stewart is the head of the Democratic Party.
Or exactly. Or
he is an entertainer.
Yeah, and he is an entertainer, but he's very sober. But this other one, like a Fatty Arbuckle.
Okay, this out of this.
Do you remember Fatty Arbuckle?
No, I ain't that old, but yes, of course. Yes.
Who was, for those of you who...
It was a very tragic kind of a story.
He was a sort of like a childhood entertainer in the early, was it silent movies?
20s.
I think with silent movies.
20s.
Yeah, in the 20s. And then, everyone loved him, and then it turned out that he killed this young woman by...
raped her. He killed her?
Raped her, and then, because she had a champagne bottle and put it into her bodily cavity.
Sort of like a vaginal ultrasound gone bad.
Yes, exactly. And she was lacerated and died, I believe.
Okay.
So this is
Are you
funny.
sure? But I thought there was some... I don't know. I thought there was some controversy about whether or not he, in fact, had really done it. Not?
No, I don't think so, because I remember they showed a picture of these champagne bottles that said something like "fatty specials" on them. But it was interesting. You know where it was? If you all want to have a good laugh, Schadenfreude, whatever you want to call it, there's a book called Hollywood Babylon.
Oh, yes.
That lists sort of when stars were still stars, and all these grotesque stories and pictures of these stars. And I remember that was in there. Fatty Arbuckle.
This out of Washington, as Rick Santorum has emerged to become Mitt Romney's leading opponent for the Republican presidential nomination, the American electorate have slowly begun to realize that the former Pennsylvania senator sincerely believes every deranged word that exits his mouth. This, of course, is The Onion. And then they go on to catalog some of the things and to interview people who said, so when he said that Satan was currently attacking the United States, He means exactly that, said Banks. Satan, the devil himself, is attacking the United States. Rick Santorum believes this is a real thing that is actually happening. Wow. I mean, just wow.
Well, talking about, Satan, because didn't one time Bush W make a blooper about Saddam Hussein and called him Satan or something like that? I vaguely remember that.
Why would that be a blooper? I think he said it.
Oh, he said it
straight.
Oh, well, maybe you're right.
Well, why wouldn't he have? They tried to demonize him.
Well, that's true. But anyway, there was something in the paper this morning about the internecine wars between Osama bin Laden's wives.
Oh, yeah. So when he was holed up in that compound, he had 3 wives in there with him. He preferred the youngest one. Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah. Oh, hey, ladies, is that a shock? Ladies, can you even take that in and process it? So the one that was sharing his bed was the young one. The one who had, been his wife for the longest arrived last and was ensconced in the bedroom directly underneath him. And apparently intimidated the hell out of everybody, including him. I mean, people said that interrogators who questioned her after the raid, you got to bet those guys are tough.
Oh, yeah.
They said she was intimidating.
Well, didn't it say, I thought one of the more interesting things was it said something about that he had various medical problems, but also like some mental health issues, too.
They did say mental health issues, and then they didn't go on to explain what that was. Maybe he was on an antidepressant or something.
I suppose he had good reason.
Yeah, I would think you end up getting stuck in
a crappy place in Pakistan with 3 nasty women.
With the, half the world looking to gun you down. Yeah, that would not be good. So when do you think they'll catch the bank robber? Speaking of half the world.
What I find very interesting is the parents who said, he's so
such
good,
a nice
so
boy.
He leaves bloody garments. He gives money, and then he tells them to go to the cemetery next to his grandmother's grave or something, and they found, what, $25,000?
Well, I think the cops found that, but yeah.
Well, no, but I thought they found it because they were given, because remember they went to one cemetery and said, go across the road.
Right.
And then he calls up the friend and says, we talked about that last week.
But I just wonder.
Which country will get me?
I wonder why they haven't found him yet, because he seems like a blunderer.
I mean, really. I mean, the minute you do it, I'd be, halfway.
You don't leave notes and go call home.
You could get to Toronto in 5 hours from here. I mean, he could have used that quick time.
But the fact is, no, he's not safe. He's got to get to a place. Canada ain't going to keep him. He's got to get to maybe.
Well, unless you could somehow go in on a back road or something.
Well, some countries won't extradite if they know that the person they're extraditing to the United States faces the death penalty because they're opposed to the death penalty.
That's true.
So,
that's true. I don't know what Canada's position is.
I don't think Canada has a death penalty. Do they?
I don't know.
I don't think so. We're pretty much the only ones, us and China and Iran and all those awful countries you don't want to be associated with. We're about the only ones left, I think.
We follow Texas.
Okay. I can't.
You have to go.
I don't know how to see. I can't do that now.
Oh.
Okay. Thank you. Ray just sent Jose Ferrer, I think. To us. What? Were you going to tell us something? No capital punishment in Canada. Yeah, that's what I would figure.
So maybe that's what they might do. Yeah.
Well, okay.
Oh,
you know
what do you think? I see you have the clipping there about this business of voter ID.
Yeah, but let's take a break and then we'll come back and do that. Voter ID, ladies and gentlemen, you better damn well have them when you go to vote next, because even though you've been voting in the same place for 150 years and you know everybody and you bring them cookies and stuff, you ain't voting unless you show an ID. That's right. We'll be back.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen live after this.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on tickets to the ballet, opera, city theater, science center, Symphony, History Museum, and the Carnegie. BergBargains.com, Pittsburgh's only online deal site where the deals don't expire. BergBargains.com.
Sokolowski Med Spa is Pittsburgh's newest med spa, offering the latest in skincare treatments and medical-grade skincare products. Their providers have years of experience with aesthetic treatments and technologies such as Botox, Restylance, Juvederm, chemical peels, Retin-A, and spider vein treatments. They offer a discreet, personalized environment with only the best quality proven services and products. Call them today for a free consultation. 412-259-8628. The Sokolowski Med Spa. 412-259-8628.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
All right, so, following along in lockstep, which is what Republicans are most comfortable doing, the now Republican-controlled legislature in Harrisburg has done what the Republican-controlled legislatures in practically every other state, I would guess,
especially
has done
border
as well.
States.
No, they send these bills out and say, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so not what the idea of a state or local legislature is supposed to be. Is that pouring or something?
It looks snowing or sleeting.
No, it's not. It's raining. Okay.
But now,
so,
what is the point here? I mean, yeah, you're right, lockstep, etc. I mean, I can see where it would staunch in issues where there's, like more in the Southwest.
there is no
there's nothing,
indication whatsoever that voter fraud is a problem or an issue. No. And when asked to, give us examples of why we need to do this, they have none. Well, they say things like this is to just ensure that people have confidence in the system. And I'm thinking, what creates lack of confidence in the system is like the debacle that occurred in Florida because of you SOBs.
Right.
It's not, confidence in the system is what Republicans have been trying to erode from day one. So there is no doubt, believe me, no doubt that what this is an attempt to suppress the Democratic vote because the only people who may not have IDs are people who overwhelmingly vote for the Democrats.
Exactly.
Poor people, elderly people, young people.
Who all have this fear, perhaps, if I get on those rolls when I get my ID card, they'll want me to do something or not do something or deport me or,
Exactly.
No, exactly. It's a way to staunch the
So,
the
Republicans are despicable.
They really are horrible
in
people.
terms of the idea of a representative democracy is voting is the heart of it. And you would, if you really favored that whole concept, you would go out of your way to make voting as accessible as possible.
Well, the next thing we're going to do is like in Iran, when we vote,
you're going to put
paint on our fingers.
That's right.
And be like Ahmadinejad, or however you pronounce his name, and I'm embarrassed I don't know how.
Ahmadinejad.
Ahmadinejad. Well, see? Thank you so much. Yes, it is.
How did somebody help me with Ahmadinejad? I'm a dinner jacket. I think that was it. Ahmadinejad.
Ahmadinejad. But can you imagine if everyone waving those black fingers?
Well, if the Republicans have anything to do with it,
they'll cut off a finger.
Believe me, if they could figure out how to make, some way that to make it impossible for Democrats to vote, they would do it.
Well, something that's been talked about, this would draw it in, but is this idea, this horrible reference in terms of the Holocaust, but literally having like a zebra stripe on our skin that could be used for, passport and whatever.
Oh, no, the Christians go nuts about that. The evangelicals go nuts about that. That's the mark of the beast.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Don't ask me what that means, but it has to do with 666.
6666, right.
And all that kind of crap.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's part of
good.
that's heading toward the end. They're going to mark us, and then we're dead men. Because women don't count anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Just dead men. Oh, boy. Let's see what else I got for you here. Anything? I always have scraps of paper here for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh,
goodness.
Who would think?
Convulsion here on the Cullen Show.
That the Reverend Pat Robertson.
Oh, another one of our
the 700 Club.
Yes.
Yes. Pat Robertson and I
No.
is gay.
Oh, we don't want him on it.
Yeah, right. It's so horrible when you must feel awful when somebody
Horrible.
comes out of the closet where you think,
exactly.
no, go back in.
Yeah, exactly. Really.
Right.
So now what is he saying in his
He
world
says
of
something
wisdom?
that I totally agree with.
Oh my
Now,
God!
I know.
Lynn Cullen is turning.
No, I think I see it the other way. He, the Reverend Robertson, is seeing the
well,
light.
maybe.
And that's what he says. He's seen the
Okay,
light.
good.
He says, I really believe we should treat marijuana the way we treat alcohol. I've never used it, and I don't intend to, but it's just one of those things that I think this war on drugs just has not succeeded. How do you not agree with that?
Of
He's
course.
absolutely
I mean, it's like a prohibition.
right. However,
more illegality than.
However, so I was all excited. Oh, wow! He's finally come around. And then you go a little further down in the story, and you get something else he said yesterday. This week, Robertson was quoted as saying that victims of the tornadoes in the Midwest could have avoided their fate by praying more.
How nice.
Is that not the most disgusting thing you've ever heard?
I mean, it's so stupid.
It's not it's all right. So I just
Well, it reminds me of the early, taking this back into politics, the early Pilgrims or was it Puritans? What was that early American, very, very early American, 16th century? Jonathan Edwards, sinners in the hands of an angry God. It's a very famous speech you read. And it sounds like that. You will have your teeth pulled from your mouth if the pigs don't want to eat. Awful stuff.
If your religion is filled with this kind of,
Really?
just violence and fear mongering, it seems to me that if
fear mongering, exactly.
if the only way you are going to live a life that is so good you're going to end up in heaven is to be terrorized by your God,
right,
then I say your God is full of crap.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sorry. But that's
Well, because it's about the sense of, I think, over and above the political manipulation in any religion, or religion, interlaces with politics, is the fact of whenever you relieve people of choice. I mean, that's where, ultimately goodness or evil comes in, when you have a choice to make. When do you do good and when do you do evil? And to my mind, this business of it's so easy. It's like when you go on one of these very strict diets. And all you eat are these shakes and that. I remember I did that a couple of times. The first week is horrible. Then after it, it's so easy because all you do is have a shake and your body quiets down and you're not, starving anymore. And it's so easy. But then the minute you go back off it and you could say, shall I have 6 ounces of turkey breast or 8 ounces? And then, how about a little lemon meringue pie, just a slice, and then.
Well, when you deny yourself,
it's easy.
Where did I hear somebody say? It was a kid, a gay kid. He was 14. He had testified. I think it was in this Minnesota school district that had this outrageous anti-bullying law.
And this kid was very articulate.
And he said something like, imagine how boring the world would be if we were all the same.
And this wasn't a gay kid either, as I remember.
No, I think he is. They said he was flamboyant and was always getting picked on.
But I
suppose you could be Do you gays own flamboyant, or can I be flamboyant too?
Well, women are allowed.
Women are allowed, and gay men,
yes.
because we get.
Remember Paul Lind?
Oh God! But is it true you couldn't have?
I have to tell you this. Remember that show?
Hollywood Squares. Right.
He once made the notorious thing. They would give buns to these people, and they would say jokes. And one of the questions was, "Please complete this sentence. I see heaven." And I remember Paul Lind said, this one? "I see heaven when my baby does a cartwheel." They sort of blanked him off the air. But he was always so outrageous.
Totally.
But then he threw himself out of a window, I think, didn't he?
Well, because he was gay at a time when he still couldn't say he was.
Right.
Right?
But the thing about that, though, what's interesting is think of Paul Lind, think of Liberace. No one ever thought those.
That's not true. All those old ladies, when they were told he was gay, they went ballistic. How dare that sweet boy?
Oh,
no.
Are you sure about
no,
that?
I am.
Huh. Because flamboyance in the theater is almost expected.
But I can imagine, people
that
being.
Sweet boy. He always looked like, oh, God.
I imagine people being totally freaked to hear that, like, Rock Hudson was gay, because he just seemed like, the essence of masculinity. That confuses them. But you would think, though, that Liberace would be a foregone.
Well, this new book is out. What's it called? I think it's called Full Disclosure. This guy who ran a gas station in Hollywood and was the pimp for all these people. Like
he used to set everybody up.
He contends that Cary Grant and
Spencer Tracy.
Yeah, that Spencer Tracy was gay,
Hepburn,
and Katharine Hepburn was a lesbian.
And that he would set these people up all the time. And he was gorgeous.
Full Service. That was the name of the book. I think I'm going to buy it. And supposedly Lucille Ball came in one time to get filled up, pardon the pun, and she slapped him across the face. She said, "You're a pimp for Desi." And it sounds like one of these terrible books, but like you can't put it down.
Where was I? I swear you interrupted me.
Oh, the kid who was so articulate about bullying.
Okay, no, but I think we went on. Whatever. But
flamboyance.
Yeah. So you're saying gay men. Because you don't think of lesbians as flamboyant. No, so you think it's gay men and conceivably heterosexual women can be flamboyant. Are you saying that lesbians and heterosexual men cannot be flamboyant?
No, they'll wear work shirts. Now let's hear it from some angry lesbian now.
Well, what do you think? Speaking of gay, really, I'm serious.
I now speak for the LGBT community.
You do.
Yes, tell me.
So how come gayness seems to have such a high correlation with the arts and with design and with
because I think that some of those, it's not that all gay people have taste or know how to make
but interior like all this interior design.
I think those number one, none of those fields when you look at them. Cooking originally, now that's changed to a certain degree, interior design, etc. Those were never considered manly crafts. And so therefore people went into them who perhaps would not be accepted in banking or what have you. I'm constantly, I remember a friend who was a gay man in New York in his 60s, and he was once criticized, and Jorge dresses, quite nicely but very conservatively, and his boss at Chase Manhattan Bank said, "You may not come to the office without a center vent in your jacket."
What?
You know how the jackets
in the back.
Yeah,
he had a jacket that was like straight.
And things like that. Someone's worrying about a vent, let alone a pocket square or something. And so I think these were the disciplines that allowed for creativity, for difference, and no one was going to slap you down. And the theater is all about being different, and no one expects the.
So are you saying though that if
now the world's different, but I think
so it's different now, but still there are those professions.
Right.
You still see that gays do that. So there's a higher quotient of artistry.
Because it's genetic. I think it's because what is where things are allowable, where it's easier to function.
Oh.
I really don't believe it. I mean, to say, gay people have such good.
No,
taste.
not all gay people, but there's the ratios out of if you look at the number of gays in the population and that percentage. And then you go into a lot of artistic professions, right? Theater, dance, design.
But I think what I said.
Then you get huge.
Well, because I said those were not the positions, the jobs that required being closeted, required so aggressively masculine behavior.
But it's not that there's just a natural inclination because they are more creative?
No, because there are gay cops, there are gay welders.
Yeah, I know.
No, I think if you did that, it's just the people who stand out.
Okay.
I don't think there's, No. I don't
Okay.
think so.
Okay, then I have one other great gay question.
All right. Yes, exactly. Well, you lift one leg and then
Stop it!
What?
What? Here's my other great question. So, the kind of if you're doing a back to the flamboyance, if you're doing a thing about sort of you're impersonating a gay,
right?
And you do the sort of lisping,
And
thing.
Yes, right.
Where does that come from? If you speak that way.
Well, again, now that's interesting. I think it may be in young children, perhaps, if they feel closer to their mothers than their fathers, feel intimidated by the fathers, and this is very stereotypical. They maybe ape the gestures.
Mother a little more.
Yeah.
You think?
I think so.
I don't think we know.
Oh, no, I don't think we do, but I mean, it's just like, for example, then one talks about, lesbians who take on very masculine dress, behavior, short haircuts, riding motorcycles, etc. I think it's like playing against, oh no, what does this say now?
She's just saying laugh, bullshit, Tom, I don't know. Margaret, sometimes we don't know what you mean with these questions.
I'm Jose Ferrer, darling.
Okay, and then one more, and I'll stop. How come an inordinate number of gay men seem to be named Bruce or Lance?
I take the fifth. No, I don't know. I mean, yeah. Well, I think a lot of times people, again, if they really want to do something very determinate way in terms of their lives, they change their name.
No, these are not name changes. You have a baby boy, you name him Bruce, the odds of him being gay go up hugely. You name him Lance.
That's ridiculous.
Okay. I'll accept
we need
that.
a shrink to talk about this. That's ridiculous.
Okay, never mind. I'll stop now. Would you like to ask any questions? Would you like to ask me any questions about the world of heterosexuality? But of course, it being the majority lifestyle, gays are well acquainted with the heterosexual lifestyle.
Exactly.
Just as black people know the white culture forward, backwards, and inside out, and yet whites don't necessarily know black cultures. And it's true. No, you do. It's why Jews, like me, understand the Christian culture and can say Christian prayers and understand the whole damn thing
because
and get the white bread and mayonnaise stuff and all that. Yeah. Right.
Because it's all around you.
Yeah, and make fun of it when you go home.
Yes. No, well, that wasn't that true. I mean, with anything, even our own houses.
No, it's true. Absolutely.
You say, as you walk in your neighborhood, oh, hello, Mrs. Jones, and then that old bag has no taste. And she has dandelions all over her lawn,
Is it hard to be a gay man without taste?
Well, not being one of those.
I know, but
what can I say?
No, I wasn't asking you. I was saying, do you think it is?
No, I think not nowadays. For instance,
okay, thank you very much.
The parabola has changed so incredibly.
Okay, he said it, parabola. People are, I got a text the other day from somebody saying, I always learn a new word when you and Tom are talking. Can you define parabola?
A parabola is like an arch. And think of the St. Louis arch. That's
is that
very
a parabola?
Much a parabola. A parabolic form. And I can't give you the mathematical definition of one, but that's what it looks like. Okay. But I mean, in the sense that
an IUD.
Move. Yes, sort of.
Looks a little like an IUD. You don't know what an IUD is.
I don't know what an IUD looks like.
You do?
Yes, you see them in drugstores and whatever.
No, you don't.
Well, you see them in magazines and drugstores. Or on Nova. Or something. I don't know. If Nova has never run a show about IUDs, I'll eat my hat.
Can never figure out how an IUD works.
Well, doesn't it basically scrape down any kind of attachment of eggs?
I don't know. You put in this little odd thing,
yeah,
like
but
a little
that's what
sculpture.
It did. It wouldn't allow. I think here we need a doctor to respond. I think it basically scrapes the inside of the uterus to detach any eggs from. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know.
It might. I don't think it's scraped.
There's a gynecologist around.
Gynecologist,
yes.
Okay, I think we better take a break.
Get off our privates. Or your privates.
I keep my privates out of it.
You're the one who brought up the IUD.
I never had one. No. I was popping those pills just to annoy Rush. Dear. That's right.
Now, what will Rush Limbaugh say about you?
Well, I'll be a slut.
If you want to pay for all that sex, then it'll show us. Oh, I can't believe he said that.
Oh, he's despicable. Take a break.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Pittsburgh City Paper's annual summer camp preview is available now. Pick up one today for A Streetcar Named Desire, The Blues Brothers Review, and Mo. Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com.
Saving energy saves you money. Whether you switch to Energy Star light bulbs, install Energy Star appliances, or add extra insulation. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Right. Oh, we're back. Well, that was quick.
Oh, IUD.
Gigi on the IUD. Hang on. She says, for your information, IUDs work by causing some inflammation. That's what I thought. It was some kind of they're an irritant in a way, making the uterus now inhospitable to the implantation of eggs.
No, look at that's very good information.
Thank you, Gigi. Yeah, we throw all these questions out all the time, and we don't always get answers, and I appreciate the answer.
Yes, thank you so very much.
Oh, everything else I have here is so... Ooh, speaking of contraception... And my sister said that...
It's pullulating through all the papers today, isn't it? Popping up in many places.
Pullulating?
Pullulating. Or pullulating, some people say. Pullulating.
Okay.
Like in the beginnings of that Evelyn Waugh novel. The gillyflowers will pullulating all over the boxes of the houses in Cambridge.
Ooh. Popping up.
Yeah, sort of popping up, yeah.
Okay, so this blunt bill, the one that would allow any employer to deny any coverage of anything that offended the employer. Right. Oh,
on a good day or a bad day. Today I'll believe in leukemia, so...
Yeah, right. I'm offended by the very idea of gynecology. A woman going into some place and putting her feet in stirrups. Why, it's disgusting. I refuse to cover any of it.
Yes.
Okay. The Republican-dominated state house in... See, these are all these... Here's what they're doing. One after the other, just like the ID law. My sister said in Missouri this is going to pass, too. The Republican state legislatures are now passing bills that would exempt employers from covering anything, especially contraception. No, the law in New Hampshire would exempt employers from covering contraception. What would happen, for example, I was thinking about this yesterday because forget leukemia and things like that. I mean, I was going to say no one's going to do that, but then who knows? But what if I think I mentioned this once before. Oh, it is not a parabola. It's the St. Louis arch is a what? Catenary arch, not parabola. Oh, well, then I guess. Well, that begs the question, what the hell's a catenary arch? Never mind. We'll check on it. No, okay. But let's say like Jehovah's Witnesses won't allow for blood transfusion. So if that would nix almost any sculpture, surgery, because there's always the possibility of having to have blood. And do we then allow that? Because someone's a Jehovah's Witness and owns a company, his policy wouldn't serve. I mean, I know. Just when you think they can't get more insane, they get more insane. Yeah. They're so nasty. Now, here's a doozy. Well, there's no, our nation now is the most diverse, and I don't mean that in the politically correct sense. Than it's ever been. Right. I mean, it may have been one thing when everyone was white, Anglo-Saxon, what have you, although there was obviously difference then, even in the 16th century. But the point is that with difference, you're going to have different views and ideas about blood transfusions, about contraception and abortion. Of course. But
that a health policy that should be for the larger United States of America. They're different states, but they're united, and they're united by common cause. And when we get these sort of supercilious little geekos from different parts of the country or different religions or different blocks or neighborhoods, I mean, how can a nation exist?
Well said. Well said.
I mean, we should like the French. Let us give women post-birth vaginal exercises because men need to have proper vaginas to use.
Yeah, like the French. I mean, they're good to women, so they want to get them back on their backs and in bed right away.
But it's the United States of America.
Yeah,
I mean,
guys. Well, you know what? In the Republicans, every 4 years, they trot out, that liberals are making a war on religion and the Christians are under attack. And I mean, it's insanity. This country has had periods in its history where there have really been essentially wars on religion. Right. And I got news for you. That's the Jews will tell you about that. The Muslims will tell you about that. The Mormons will tell you about that. And when the Republican Party talks about a war on religion, they're talking about one religion. They're talking about their religion.
Yeah, right, exactly.
They're talking about Christianity, which is the majority religion, continues to be. And if they think they are on the receiving end of a war in a majority Christian nation, they are out of their cotton-picking minds. Well, they do not know what a war on a religion feels like.
And further to that, I would definitely believe of that Christian base, which one would include Catholicism in that, the majority of those are centrists. I mean, the evangelicals in that are growing, granted, but a small part of the larger community of Christian churches. And I mean, the Episcopal Church and many Presbyterian denominations and Unitarians, although some people may not consider them Christians. But the fact that even among the Christians there is not solidarity on all these crazy issues.
Not at all. Well, we've done it again, Tom.
From flamboyance to Hollywood to
Disney
full
World,
service
to Liberace to
vaginal exercises, ending with V.
Yes, it's been quite a ride, and I want to thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
It's always a pleasure.
Likewise.
Thank you. Tomorrow, guys, okay? Stay dry. We're not going to.
That was interesting, like in an hour and a half.
Are we down? Is my mic down? Yes, we're down.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.